Hi, welcome to the Fit and Healthy Today show, and today we are going to discuss a subject near and dear to my dad, gout. 90% of the people that suffer from gout are men, and they tend to be men 40 years old and above. When we talk about what gout is, it's a form of arthritis that's caused by excessive uric acid produced by the kidneys. It gets in the blood, the tissues, the urine, and makes the body very, very acidic. What occurs then is calcium crystals kind of bind to neutralize this acidity, and these calcium crystals then will solidify in the areas where the body temperature is the lowest, which in most cases, once again 90% of the cases, is the big toe. And if you've ever seen guys limping around like this and they'll ask, you know, how are you doing? It's like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. Are your arthritis bothering you? They'll say, no, it's probably gout. What happens, a lot of it has to do with an inadequate amount of a certain type of digestive enzyme that helps break down uric acid. And once again, diet being a contributing factor, heredity being a contributing factor, and the acidity or acidic pH of the body and the ability of the body to try and neutralize those pH levels by pulling the calcium out of the bones, and boom, you end up with those calcium crystals forming. Symptoms: sharp pain in a single joint area, as we mentioned before, in the big toe. It can also appear in the ankles, the toe joints, sometimes in the hands, but most of the time it's in the lower extremities. And they get very hot, sensitive to the touch. Very, very painful because you've got these little calcium crystals slicing and dicing on your tissues. So every time you move, it hurts. So looking at the causes, I briefly touched upon that a minute or so ago, but a diet that's rich in poor quality proteins. So if you've got a person that's the burger and steak king with the potato sitting beside it, you've got lots of acids and very poor quality protein. You're lucky if a good steak has a 35% biologically available protein. So you've got all this excessive protein raising the uric acid levels, and hence when you raise the uric acid levels you get gout. What's interesting, blood sugars also, or people who have higher blood sugars or eat a lot of sugar foods, pastas, starches, things that raise the blood sugars, will make the body very acidic as well, and the body will pull out of the bones again the calcium to neutralize the pH. Because in human beings the pH in the blood needs to remain right about 7.35, which is slightly alkali. Sorry for the science, but I want you to kind of understand. Obesity, high blood pressure. Poor circulation, obviously, with high blood pressure. Obesity, you've got more vascular system to feed, so you get poor circulation. Kidney disease, or people who have kidney stones tend to also suffer from gout because, once again, the high uric acid levels form those stones in the kidneys and then in the poorest areas of circulation. Stress and acidic diets. Stress is the most acid-producing thing that you can put the body under that will acidify and cause gout, kidney stones, cancers, the list goes on. The body doesn't like an acidic diet or acidity, period. Once again, it likes that 7.35 neutral or above slightly alkali pH. There's other factors too that can contribute to gout that we sometimes don't think about, and that's heavy metal I'm going to say the word right, heavy metal toxicity, particularly lead. The body's dealing with that, fighting with that all the time, and it's in a continual inflamed state. Inflammation makes for more acidity. Dehydration, particularly if you're on pharmaceutical types of diuretics or high blood pressure, hydrochloride, tend to wash the minerals out. They tend to raise the uric acid levels. There are also other medications which I know most people are going to go, oh, that contributes to gout or to my uric acid levels. Aspirin, the good old aspirin therapy. High dosages of niacin that a lot of doctors are putting their patients on for cholesterol. Antibiotics, which make the body very acidic, destroying the good bacteria and disrupting what we call homeostasis of the body. And then, of course, chemotherapy or any kind of traumatic surgery or traumatic types of treatments that the body undergoes that will make it just off balance can bring on gout. We see a lot of gout with chemotherapy patients. I know most people think, chemotherapy gout. Yeah, I see it all the time in my stores. Since diet is one of the contributing factors towards gout, I'd like to examine what we can do about it and how to modify the diet. When you have a gout breakout, or if you have a propensity towards having gout all the time, you're going to avoid all meat, particularly red meat, pork, poor qualities of meat. Shellfish, peanuts, brewer's yeast, dried beans, cooked beans are okay, lentils, spinach, fried foods, white flour, pasta, starches. In other words, you're going to be doing a very clean diet of your fruits and vegetables with very good quality proteins that are going to be primarily plant-based, or fish such like as cod or halibut. They're anti-inflammatory when we eat them. And so if you combine the fruits and vegetables, a little bit of nuts for essential fatty acids, actually the kind of diet that you should be on from the beginning. And once again, if you're eating that high saturated fat, high not such good protein, a lot of sugar, you're on the way towards gout and high uric acid levels. The concern with uric acid also in these formation of these calcium stones throughout the body is if they're slicing and dicing in your toes, it's slicing and dicing in your vascular system and in your kidneys. We only got two. You can function with one. Kidney transplants are hard to come by. So if you have this issue, you need to get it resolved. We talk about medications that are available out there, and there's something called allopurinol. There's other medications, but it's the most popularly prescribed drug. That's a tongue twister. But it causes skin eruptions, blood vessel inflammation. The last thing you need to do when you have calcium deposits is to have vascular inflammation that can contribute to other things, including heart attacks and strokes, and liver toxicity. So looking towards other options, diet obviously, eating cherries, strawberries, blueberries. For some reason eating about a cup of cherries a day, and there is black cherry juice extracts or black cherry juice that you can do when cherries aren't in season. It lowers the uric acid levels, and I mean usually within about 24 hours you get some fairly immediate relief, particularly if you initiate the diet changes as well. Eating nuts, flax seeds, as I mentioned before, fruits and veggies, things to alkali the blood to lower the uric acid levels. And something I think most of us forget to do, and what I forgot to do a good portion of today, and I'm a little dehydrated, is drink lots and lots of water. I know it's really hard, we're busy at work, we're going and going and going, but drinking a lot of water keeps the kidneys flush, it keeps the pH neutral, because most good clean water is right about neutral pH. Supplements, we mentioned black cherry, celery seed extract, and actually celery itself can lower uric acid levels. You just got to eat massive quantities of it. But celery seed, we also know celery for blood pressure also and vasal health, but celery seed can be used as a treatment and a prevention, just like black cherries or black cherry juice. You can take those on a daily basis. Now obviously if you have blood sugar problems, you're going to do black cherry in the capsule forms so you're not getting all the sugars. Clean fish oil. Since we like to eat fish, I enjoy fish, but the problem is most of it is contaminated. We can get, Alaskan salmon, sometimes of the year, we can get some good fish. But the problem is most of the time we can't. And that being the case, then you want to look for a real clean source of fish oil to reduce the inflammation. And once again, it's not just inflammation from gout, it's inflammation for other forms of arthritis and in your vascular system as well. Green drinks, you can juice, or you can buy the pre-powdered mix, or you can do green such as chlorella, chlorophyll. Those are all extremely oxygenating and alkaline on the blood. And when you oxygenate and you alkali, the pH comes down, uric acid levels go away. So if you got a juicer, pull it out of the cabinet, pull away all the dusty stuff and the cobwebs, pull out your juicer, and then start using some good detoxifying juices like celery. You got to avoid spinach when you have gout, but celery, you can do some carrots, you can throw in some cilantro for heavy metal detox, you can throw in some beets. All of these things help to alkali the blood, and it'll give you more energy too as you're fighting this painful thing. Bromelain. Bromelain is an anti-inflammatory. It comes from pineapple, and we use it a lot in arthritis, period. But it helps reduce inflammation. It also helps prevent the platelets from becoming sticky, so it can also be utilized if a person tends to have blood clotting issues. It's kind of funny because oftentimes when people have uric acid issues, they tend to have issues with their blood as well. That's why going on allopurinol is kind of like, it needs to be very, very well supervised by a physician. Quercetin. You know, quercetin is a bioflavonoid that I sell tons and tons of in the store for allergies, and it helps other things we've discussed. But it's also primarily an anti-inflammatory. And so quercetin is very helpful at prevention and as well when you get it to reduce inflammation. I know we talk about homeopathics, and I'm not a homeopathic doctor, but I have some knowledge about homeopathic medicine. And there are particular homeopathic medicines that can help with the pain of gout. And I list one down on here. You're going to do 4 of the pellets 3 to 4 times a day. There's a couple of companies that make this 30C concoction. But when you're in serious pain, every 2 hours. The homeopathics really do work, and they were one of the first medicines that the AMA had approved over 100 years ago. So very helpful, doesn't interfere with any other medications, so looking towards that for pain if you possibly can. Nettle root. Now, nettle lowers uric acid levels in the kidneys, which is also good for kidney stones. Also used for allergies, very beneficial for a lot of other things. Most people that come in to my store will grab it for allergies, but reduction of inflammation, and you can take nettle on a daily basis. Applying cayenne cream, and you're thinking, I'm going to put cayenne, it's hot, on something that hurts. Believe it or not, cayenne has studies, and I know Ralph has mentioned before cayenne for pain in some of the studies that he's done in his research. Cayenne topical application increases circulation and helps kill pain. So very easy, relatively inexpensive thing that you can get from your health food store. Try, when I usually make recommendations, I usually tell people to try a few of these as best you can, but long-term, and I don't have this written down here, the long-term effects that you want to look with gout, and most people, and oftentimes physicians, take it extremely lightly. I don't, because when you have anything that's slicing and dicing on your tissues and in your vascular system and on your kidneys, and remember where your blood circulates throughout your heart, these calcium crystals can deposit on areas of inflammation, as a side note. So not only with gout, but in your heart valve areas. So keeping those levels of acidity down, keeping the pH for alkalinity high, gout, and a heck of a lot of other disorders. We're going to be moving on next to the fitness portion of our show. Thank you very much. Hi, welcome to the fitness portion of our show. And today we're going to be addressing the 5th chakra. Hey, that was a faux pas, a 5th chakra faux pas, which is your throat chakra. And when we talk about the throat chakra, there's certain things that come out when we're deficient or when we have too much in our throat chakra energies. Primarily, obviously, it's our communication and verbal creativity that comes through in our throat chakra. And when you're balanced, you're truthful, clear-spoken, reflective, creative, honest about your own weaknesses, independent, good communicator, and contented most of the time. Nobody's content all 100%. When you're unbalanced, you have poor communication. Sometimes you're very judgmental. You're dishonest. You lack creativity.